Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best items available, including some of my own personal recommendations. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting top 10 video to share with you guys. This time around, the top 10 discontinued knives that, in my opinion, need to come back. This top 10 was definitely the one that people wanted the most, when I made the community post and talked about it in live streams. Excuse me, this is what people wanted me to do. So this list is entirely based on my own opinion. It's also all based on knives that I've actually handled except for one. I try to do that because I don't want to, tell you guys like this should happen with this if I've never handled it, right? So everything but one knife on this list is a knife that I've actually handled. Some of the knives on this list actually have physical reviews where you can go check out my thoughts after having handled them, and some of them don't because I handled them before I started the channel. But again, yeah, this is just my opinion. If something's not on the list, it's either that I don't care if it comes back or not, or it's something that I, haven't handled and you can't really talk about. So just want to say real quick, thank you so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me during this time. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, there is a link down in the description. Starting off here at number 10, this is the Spyderco Southard. This is basically, a Spyderco Hinder XM18. I really like this knife. I got a chance to handle the black one and the tan one. The thing that bothered me about this knife was the fact that there were two versions. There was the tan one with the tumbled blade, and then there was the black one with the black blade. I wanted one with black G10 and a tumbled blade, right? This knife has issues. It's thick. Some people reported lock geometry problems. This is one of those knives where it needs to come back, but those things just need to be fixed. The Taichung, Taiwan factory, which is where this one was made, is known right now for churning out some of Spyderco's most amazing knives. Imagine, a Spyderco Southard that was thinner, had a steel lock bar insert, had, just some of the corks and things fixed on this knife. Action that was, more associated with what we expect from the Taichung, Taiwan plant right now. I would really like this. And also fix that pocket clip. Oh my gosh. I don't know if we'll actually see this thing come back. I just want it to. And keep in mind, guys, a lot of the stuff on this list, there's probably no chance it's coming back, but that's not going to stop me from saying that I want it. I want this knife to be great, and I want it to be available where I can purchase it right now. So it definitely makes the list. Moving on here, number 9, the Benchmade 761 Tie Monolock. I recently called this one of the most disappointing knives that I've ever handled. And it's because I wanted it to be good. This is, in my opinion, this is one of Benchmade's most attractive designs. The monolock thing and the rotating stop pin and the pot. Why did they make the pocket clip tip down only? Fix those things and you have a winner. It's still going to be expensive, but we're talking M390 and titanium, and then just fix some of those corks, and you have a wonderful titanium frame lock that you could have run on bearings or washers, and I think people would go for that. If this did not have the huge issues, this would be an absolute home run. I don't know if we're actually going to see that come back, but I mean, I think the community's made it clear what's wrong with this knife and why it didn't work. It's expensive, but man, this could have been such a home run. I really would like to see it come back fixed. Moving on here, this is a personal one. The ZT0180. This is based on the Hinderer Field Tack. Oh gosh, this was such a perfect fixed blade. So the Hinderer Field Tack is a great knife, but it's really expensive, right? It's more expensive than this knife. I think they actually want $300, maybe $350 for the Field Tack through Hinderer. I actually kind of like the ZT design better. This is just a straightforward, robust fixed blade. It has a really, really good looking aesthetic. I know that I don't know what ZT's relationship with Rick Hinderer is anymore, if they're just kind of running out their contract. They still have the 0562, but I just want Hinderer to be a part of ZT so that ZT can keep the whole robust thing going and also deliver some knives that people enjoy aesthetically and functionally, right? I have to put at least one fixed blade on this list, and this is the one. If I was going to see any fixed blade that was discontinued come back, it would be this one. Originally, it was in Venatus 4. Honestly, I'd like to see it in M4. I don't know anything about Venatus 4, but I'd like to see it in M4. I'd take S35VN. I'd take LMAX, considering you know, if ZT heat treats it properly. But what an all-around fantastic fixed blade. I got to handle one of these at a gun show along with some other knives on this list, and it's such a wonderful utilitarian knife. It is robust, it is thick, but that's how you'd want it, absolutely. Moving on here, the Microtech Scarab. Yeah, I called in to make sure. It is officially discontinued. It's so confusing with Microtech because, you know, you don't know for sure if something's discontinued or not. Like the SOCOM Elite, it was gone for years, and then it was like, here's some more. And now it's like hard to get them again, you know. The Microtech Scarab is basically the same build thickness as the Combat Troodon, or as people have been pointing out, I should be saying Troodon. I say Troodon on purpose because I'm used to saying it that way. But it's not as long, right? I have a Combat Troodon and I love it, but it's freaking huge. This thing is around the same size as the Lightning, but it's more robust. And I believe it's got twin springs in there. This is an expensive knife. I mean, the executive variants ran $450 or so before they were discontinued. And then the full, you know, the Scarab, whatever they called, the one with the grip tape in there ran quite a bit more. They were like $565, I think, at some point. I don't know. But yeah, this is a great, you know, EDC-sized OTF. That's a little more robust. It kind of has that Combat Troodon feeling. I think I can understand why they discontinued it, but I still want one. I would absolutely carry and use a Microtech Scarab, and I heard they fire super hard, which is something that's, you know, it doesn't give you any sort of utilitarian benefit, but, I mean, other than, you know, if there were debris in there and maybe the springs were able to throw the blade past the debris getting in the way, I suppose you could argue that, but I just want one. Why did they get rid of it? It's frustrating. I want the Scarab back. I feel like that was one of Microtech's most flagship models, and they were like, nah, it's gone, you know. And then it was just silence. Like, what? Where did this thing go? Frustrating. Oh man, could do without the glass breaker, but whatever. Moving on here, something that's going to make a lot of people happy, probably wondering if this was going to be on my list. Another one I handled at a gun show. I do not have a review on this knife. The ZT0500 MUD or MUDD. This is the Hawk design. One that is legitimately one that could consider to be considered to be a true hard use folding knife. It's thick, it's beefy. You know, a lot of the elements are definitely overkill and they don't make sense. But this is one of the knives that I think defined ZT's crazy overbuilt, you know, nature. And they didn't design this knife. This was a collaboration, but this thing is nuts. It's cool and it's weird and it's different, and I you know, I feel like right now it would take off if they redid this, if they re-explored, you know, this territory with Hawk. But oh man, this is such a weird, cool knife. The oversized you know, thumb studs and the crazy pivot, and the, you know, it's got the pivot mechanism that essentially does not allow dirt and debris to get in whatsoever, beyond the capabilities of phosphor bronze. This is a super cool knife. It's one of the most interesting knives that ZT has ever done, and I just want it. I just want it back. Like everything else on this list, I just want it back. Moving on here, the Benchmade AFCK. Looks like a Spyderco, right? This is one of the knives I think, you know, Benchmade worked out a deal with Spyderco where they could use the hole there. But they had liner lock versions of this knife and they had axis lock versions of this knife. And obviously I don't care about serrations, but I'm thinking, you know, the later versions of this had more of a choil area up in that big blank space past the primary finger choil there. An axis lock version of this with a better, you know, area where you can choke up, and then, you know, do like a, you know, maybe stay away from the S30V and go 20 CV, because Benchmade's got way too much stuff in S30V, or do something weird and different with it. But an axis lock and then something weird, you know, as an inlay, something different as an inlay. You know, Benchmade does a really good job with the aesthetic design elements of their knives, but this is a freaking user. People love this knife. Another one that I handled at a gun show. And, you know, it's like, why is this gone? Perhaps it has something to do with their deal with Spyderco, or, I mean, I don't know. You know, a lot of times it has to do with the designer and a contract. They don't want to work with this person or that person for one reason or another. But, you know, all that aside, I sure would love to see this thing come back. It's a straightforward utilitarian cutting tool, and this looks super big. You know, it kind of looks like Benchmade 710 meets Spyderco Military, right? They have a mini one too, much smaller. It's kind of like Crooked River and Mini Crooked River relationship. Yeah, I'd like to see them both come back. That would be super cool. Moving on here, speaking of the 710, the Benchmade 710. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite Benchmade knives ever. They did a version of this in M390 in the blue and black G10. And then I actually gave the standard D2, the standard production variant of this knife. Like nowadays, what they'd want for it wouldn't make any sense. It's G10 and steel liners. It's got the axis lock and it's got a tumbled D2 blade. I think they were going for like $135 or so before they were discontinued. Obviously, that's not a price that would make sense now. They brought it back in S30V, and they got rid of that recurve. I don't want that recurve on there. Can you imagine if it just had a straightforward, drop point blade? Man, this knife was killer. It had a great carry profile, great blade to, handle ratio, all the way around. I gave one of these knives as a wedding gift to my best friend, and he still has it. He still uses it. This is an excellent knife. Won a ton of awards. I mean, a lot of people love this knife, and it's like, just evolve it a little bit, but keep it. Like, to me, this is a Benchmade flagship model. So why, Moving on, of course, the Gala Bradley 2. Now, I understand there is potentially, or there's rumors of a Gala Bradley 3 in production, or perhaps it's not even a rumor anymore. Perhaps it's a thing. But without it actually being here, I'm just going to go ahead and throw my 2 cents in. Yeah, the only thing that was holding this knife back a little bit for me was the placement of, well, not the placement of the hole, but just the access to the hole. It just wasn't super easy to get in there. They make some scallops, they round some things down, make it not quite so, not so sharp up on the spine. Maybe do, the tumbled, that amazing tumbled finish that Taichung Taiwan does. Get rid of that laminate carbon fiber. I hate that stuff. I keep calling it peel ply. Peel ply is the texture. I had a conversation with a couple people in the comments about this. Peel ply is just the texturing on the top. The laminate, I do not like the laminated carbon fiber in G10. Make it G10 or make it carbon fiber. Stop doing that halvesy stuff, right? But the Gala Bradley, they do a Gala Bradley 3 and they fix all those little things. Oh my goodness. One of the best folding knives of all time that they fixed a few times. Fixed a few things. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to see this knife come back. Let's hope it does. Moving on here, this will never happen. The ZT-0392 probably has made more top 10 lists on my channel than any other knife. I love this series. This is a factory custom series from Zero Tolerance in collaboration with Rick Hinderer Knives based on the Hinder Eclipse. But the blade shape, the initial blade shape on that top one there was based on a concept. It was a non-production blade shape. You can actually go see the blade shape on the Rick Hinderer Knives website. If you go to Past Knives and Custom Knives Gallery, you can actually see one of the original prototypes for this knife. And then they kept doing them in interesting color combinations, right? The bronze, the blue, the green and the black one, and they did the Wharncliffe blade and they did a Bowie blade, right? These were amazing. And you know what? Even by today's standard, if they release this knife right now, and it was priced at what it was, right? Full titanium, and you had the Hinderer custom hardware, right? You had all of the Hinderer elements in there. I'm telling you, if they priced it between $350 and $400, I would have no problem paying that price. I know a lot of people are like, but you can buy a Chinese titanium frame lock for $250. It's not the same thing. I've handled 2 of these, and I've handled a bajillion titanium frame locks from the high-end Chinese knife makers, and they're great. But the 0392 was truly something special. It was truly something special. I love these. I love the different color combinations, and I love that they had modular hardware because you can buy. Now there's a huge market with the Hinderer hardware, right? So you can actually, if you're like, I don't like that color, then go buy a different color. It'll work with this. Oh man. I want these to come back so that I don't have to keep looking on eBay and seeing them marked, at $550, $650. I just want these to come back. I don't think they're gonna, but man, it would be super cool. Last one on the list, you guys know what it is, probably, collectively, at least for people who have handled it, there's gonna be, the biggest nods in agreement here. The Spyderco Bowie. I didn't know, guys. I just handled it for the first time here recently, and I'll admit, I've always thought to myself, there is no way there's anything truly special about that knife. It is a flat ground Bowie blade, you know, with some kind of rectangular looking titanium scales. And it's a frame lock. Whoop-de-doo. What's the big deal about it? Why are so many people freaking out about it? Why does Nick Shabazz like this thing so much? Oh, man, I get it, guys. I get it. I've handled it. This thing is supreme. It is truly one of the greatest folding knives that has ever existed. And it absolutely would have made my top 15 greatest folding knives of all time video had I handled it before I made that video. I would very much like to see this knife come back. I'd like to see it come back with an over-travel stop and probably, to appease the knife community, a steel lock bar insert. Keep the CTSX HP. Keep pretty much everything else about it. Upgrade the T6 screws to T8, right? And then don't change anything else. My goodness, is this just an unbelievable user knife. Oh man, maybe, is there talk of this coming back? I don't know. I feel like in the back of my mind I'm remembering some rumor, but rumors are just rumors, right? If somebody can confirm it and offer me a link, you know, hit me up on Instagram and let me know. I honestly don't know, but yeah, after handling this, oh my goodness. It really doesn't need much. I mean, it honestly could come back pretty much in the exact same form that it existed in the first place, and I think people would go nuts for it. Everybody who currently owns a Leffen Bowie and paid extra to get one off the secondary market, I understand that that would probably make you all pretty mad, because then the value of yours might go down a little bit, or perhaps it would bolster the value of yours because yours was the original. I don't know. Who knows what the secondary market does? All I know is I want this knife back so I can buy it and keep it forever. Guys, that's going to be pretty much it for the top 10 discontinued knives that I think need to come back. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope at the very least you were entertained. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.